All right, we are going to continue reading Stink and the Shark Sleepover. Today we are reading Chapter 2, which is called Shark Sleepover Time. Finally, it was Friday. Shark Sleepover night! When the Moody's got to the aquarium, Stink spotted Webster right away. He was waiting outside with Sophie of the Elves, Sophie's mom, and her little sister. "Sophie Webster!" yelled Stink. Sophie waved, holding her big head book of elves, fairies, mermaids, pixies, and other wee folk in one hand, and her little sister, Mimi's, hand in the other. The Moody's joined them in line. Stink hauled his shark sleeping bag under one arm and slung his backpack, stuffed to the gills with shark stuff, over his shoulders. "What did you bring, Webster?" Stink asked. "I brought Go Fish and Critter Concentration in case we get bored, a bologna sandwich and ketchup packets in case I get hungry, and one of my Hug Uglies in case I get scared." "Wow, you thought of everything." "I also brought my blue shark tooth fairy pillow," said Webster. He grinned, wiggling his loose tooth for his friends to see. "For my loose tooth." So you can see Stink and all of his friends, and Webster is the boy with glasses right there who's wiggling a tooth. "Your loose tooth?" Stink and Sophie cracked up. "It's hard to say loose tooth when you have a loose tooth." The letter S came out funny. They cracked up again. "This way I'm ready for the tooth fairy in case my you-know-what falls out tonight at the you-know-where." Whoa. "Did you know sharks lose around 35,000 teeth in their lifetime?" Stink asked. "That's a lot of tooth fairies," said Webster. "If we were sharks, we'd be rich," said Stink. Sophie's little sister poked Stink. "You're stinky," said Mimi. "I'm Stink," said Stink, "not stinky." "Stinky, stinky, stinky," said Mimi, dancing around in circles in her tutu. "Are you ready for the shark sleepover?" asked Webster. "Don't say shark around you-know-who," said Sophie, nodding at Mimi. "Well, don't say sleepover around you-know-stink," said Judy. Stink gave Judy a "stop saying I'm afraid of sleepovers in front of my friends" look. Tons of people crowded outside the side entrance. There were kids and families, Cub Scouts, a brownie troop, and a soccer team. Webster nudged Stink and nodded to a group of noisy girls holding sleeping bags. "Oh no," said Stink. "It's Riley Rottenberger. Quick, make yourselves invisible." But it was too late. Riley came over. "Hey, who knew you guys were going to be here?" "We knew," said Stink. "But what are you doing here?" "I'm here with my Fins group." She waved a bunch of girls over. "This is Hannah, Anna, Emma, Olivia, and Maisie." "Fins?" asked Sophie. "Friends in nature study," said Riley. "But you hate nature," said Stink. Emma and Maisie looked shocked. "Do not," said Riley. "Well, maybe outside nature, but this is inside nature." "This is our third Fins sleepover," said one of the Fins. "Our last one was a flower power sleepover at the Flower Palace," said Riley. "Uh-huh," said Stink, nodding. He craned his neck, trying to see through the glass doors into the aquarium. "We saw plants that ate bugs." "Uh-huh." Stink was hardly listening. "And made duct tape flowers." "Uh-huh." "And we ate worms in dirt." "Huh?" asked Stink. "Gotcha," said Riley. "It was really gummy worms and chocolate pudding." Riley turned to her friends. "Stink is my study buddy from school," Riley told the Fins. "Right, Stink?" Stink gulped. "I am?" "He likes Pluto and stuff," Riley told them, "and we like to bug each other." "We?" asked Stink. "You bug me." "Yuck, yuck, yuck. See? Isn't he funny?" Riley cackled. "Hey, guess what, Stink? I got a good game for you. It's called Would You Rather. Would you rather freeze your butt off on Pluto at minus 300 degrees or get your insides sucked out by a giant sea anemone? Riley's friends giggled. Webster shivered. Sophie made a sour ball face. Riley Rottenberger, said Stink, with friends like you, who needs anemones? As soon as the aquarium doors opened, all the sleepover groups rushed inside. Tour guides in blue aquarium shirts passed out name tags and packets of information. Stink, said Dad, we'll go with Sophie's family to stake out a good spot for our sleeping bags. Judy, do you want to stay with Stink and his friends? Second graders? No way, said Judy, shaking her head. Have fun, Stink, said Mom. We'll catch up with you later. Stink, his friends, and the other groups sat on the floor in the center of the rotunda, just outside the turtle-torium. A milky green sea turtle with a lost flipper munched on a head of lettuce. My name is, well, you can call me Miss D, said their tour guide. Tonight we'll explore a touch pool together and go on a sea creature scavenger hunt. There will also be an indoor campfire later with snacks. I'll be your guide for the evening. If you have any questions, just ask me or anybody with a blue shirt on. Will there be sharks? Asked Stink. There will be sharks, said Miss D. Do we really have to go to sleep? Asked Riley. Yes, you really have to go to sleep, but not till we've had a fun evening. What does the D stand for? Asked Sophie. Excuse me? Your name, Miss D. Does the D stand for dolphin? The D is not for dolphin. Is it for dungeon? How about dragon? Asked Webster. Sorry, said Miss D. Now, if you'll all follow me, we'll start with sharks, asked Stink, crossing his fingers. Please say sharks. Touch pools, said Miss D. Follow me to the Starfish Enterprise. They left the sea turtles and went past the gift shop. Stink could hear dolphins splashing in the next room as they came to 2 large open tanks. Groups of kids peered into the tide pool. Sea stars clung to the rocks. Anemones waved tentacles. Crabs skittered and snails slithered. Baby octopus! Webster shouted, but the octopus was just a rock with spots. False alarm, he said. See all those shells, said Sophie. Are those hermit crabs? Sure are, said Miss D, picking one up. Tiny red legs, 1 big purple claw, and 2 antennas poked out of the shell. Hermit crabs are my favorite, said Sophie. Just then, Mimi ran up to Sophie. Crabby, 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 she said, pointing. These guys are ocean hermit crabs, Miss D told everybody. Do they change shells? Asked Sophie. They sure do. When they get too big for their shells, they find a bigger home to move into, like an empty snail shell. But sometimes a hermit crab can't find a shell, and it moves into something like an old can or bottle. I had a hermit crab, Riley talked a mile a minute. One time my dad dropped his pen cap in the tank, and the hermit crab used it for a home. Is that true? Asked Stink. Riley Rottenberger told Tall Tales. Of course it's true, Stink Moody. Stink looked at Ryler. A noisy noise, a noise, an oyster, said Stink. I'm going to say that again. That's kind of a crazy saying. A noisy noise, a noise, an oyster. Webster and Sophie cracked up. Ha ha, said Riley, but you're not an oyster, so how can I annoy you? Okay, then. A noisy noise, a noise, a boister. That's the end of chapter 2. Do you think that Riley and Stink are going to continue to have conflict in this book? I'm kind of curious. And what do you think Stink is going to do with the sleepover? In chapter 1, Judy mentioned that he was afraid of sleepovers, that he had trouble sometimes. So I'm curious if Stink might have trouble. And if you look at the cover again, if you look at Stink's face, he might look a little nervous. All right, I'm going to read some shark facts right here, and then we will be done with chapter 2. All right, it says Sharkzilla lived 28 million years ago, that is. Megalodon, the biggest shark that ever lived. It was 60 feet long, 100 tons. When you compare that to a great white shark is 20 feet long and 2.5 tons. Scientists figured out that Megalodon's big bad bite would have had up to 18 tons of force. That's enough force to crush a whale's skull as if it were a grape. Megalodon means giant tooth. A single megalodon tooth could grow up to 6 inches long. That would be a giant tooth. And then the shark says, I eat whale brains for breakfast. Mega-licious. All right, my friends, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon for Chapter 3.